Once your offer has been accepted, now you're under contract with the seller to purchase the property. The first thing you do after your offer acceptance, that is within the first 3 days, you have to pay earnest money deposit. Earnest money deposit is about 1 to 5% of the purchase price. In Connecticut, it's customary to pay anything above $5,000 as the earnest money deposit. This money is refundable and is usually applied to the closing cost or your down payment on the closing day if everything goes well and good. But if for some reason you want to pull out of the contract during the contingency period, then you can pull out of the contract and get your deposit money back. This is usually held in a third-party account called as escrow account, usually in the listing broker's escrow account in Connecticut. Next thing you do is getting the home inspected. Once your home has been inspected and you have some items to be repaired, then you can request your seller to make the repairs, or you can get a credit for the repairs. In the worst case, if you're not happy, if you don't feel comfortable going ahead with the sale, you can pull out of the contract, terminate the contract, and get your deposit money back. This is the time when you actually finalize your lender, get your rates locked in, and provide all the documents requested by this lender. The lender is going to request for any document supporting your employment, your income, liabilities, assets, etc. Now, once the inspection is done and you want to go ahead, that is when your lender is going to order an appraisal. Appraisal is a third-party evaluation of the worth of the property. The next thing is the loan is an underwriting. The underwriter is going to verify all the documents you provided, and he's going to check that you meet all the conditions required for the mortgage approval. And attorney will take care of title now. Attorney is going to do a title search to make sure that the seller is the legal owner of the property and that he has the ability to sell the property to you, and that there are no claims against the property. All the claims or anything which is not apparent at the time when you made an offer will be unearthed during attorney's title search. A municipal search is also conducted by the attorneys to make sure there are no unpermitted constructions, open permits, or any violations, notice of violations, or building code non-compliance. All those things will be unearthed during the municipal search. A title insurance will be arranged during this phase by the attorney to make sure that the lender and the buyer is protected against any future claims against the property by undisclosed heirs to the property at this point. Next thing is your loan will be approved based on a clear title and after all the contingencies have been met, and your bank will require you to purchase a homeowner's insurance. Once you get your clear title and a homeowner's insurance, bank issues a clear to close and a closing disclosure document will be prepared. This document will outline all the costs associated with the loan as well as your monthly mortgage payments. Now, the last thing before closing is walkthrough. Walkthrough is one final time you get to see the property before it becomes yours. This is very important because you want to make sure that all the agreed upon request, whatever you wanted during the inspection period, that's all done, and there are no new damages, and that the seller has almost packed up and moved, and it's all in agreed upon broom clean condition. The last thing in this journey is closing. Closing is the day you get to bring your down payment and the closing cost. The attorney will walk you through the bunch of loan documents, title documents. You will sign a bunch of mortgage papers, and an attorney will disperse the funds, paying off the mortgage or any liens against the property. Now, the seller gets his proceeds and the buyer gets his title. The last thing is getting the deed recorded. That happens after closing. Within a few days of closing, the deed will be recorded in the county office and you will be getting your deed documents as well as your title insurance policy. Now let's look at how the finances flow during this transaction. So right after you get under contract, you'll be paying the earnest money deposit. That's the first thing you have to do within the first 3 days of the offer acceptance. This is refundable and gets applied to the down payment at the closing. Next thing, within the first 14 days, that's when you get the property inspected. You have to pay for the home inspection, which you pay out of pocket right after the inspection. Next thing is our lender orders an appraisal. That is at the lender's discretion whenever the lender orders. It usually happens right after you submit all the documents, what is requested by the lender. Appraisal happens behind the screen, in the sense that you don't get to see the appraiser, but even then you still pay for the appraisal when the lender asks you to pay for that. Now once the mortgage is approved, after it takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get the mortgage approved, that is when you are required to buy a homeowner's insurance. That's another out-of-pocket expense you make before closing. Now the final day, that is the closing day, that is when you bring your down payment and the closing cost. You bring the down payment and closing cost, and the lender brings in the mortgage amount because your loan has been approved. So that day, where after you pay your portion of the purchase price and the closing cost, the seller gets the net proceeds. Net proceeds is the purchase price minus the outstanding mortgage of the current seller, as well as any closing costs associated with the sale. Once all these things are done, you get the ownership of your property because you've already brought in your down payment and bank has given you the mortgage.